and welcome to this session on biometrics. My name is Benoit Verbaere. I'm a lead architect for SITA in Europe, and I'd like to thank you, IATA, for allowing us to present on this very important topic. So over the years, you may know SITA has grown, and we have adapted as a collaborative IT provider. We are owned by aviation. We help meet the community requirements, and we help address community issues. When I joined SITA, I figured out that it's very important to have a vision, and that vision today for me is about being focused on 3 areas, and those areas are quite interconnected for our industry. You have everything that is about enabling to deliver a seamless passenger journey, everything which is related to bringing operational efficiencies, and at the same time, it's about facilitating the collaboration in industry. And that part, the collaboration piece, is probably the most important building block to achieving that vision. So, moving towards a shared vision, clearly you have all of these different actors and departments working in that industry. And it's about finding the mechanisms by which we'll be able to accommodate the growth, that doubling of passengers, that doubling of aircraft. And it's also about the airports. The airports of the future will have to look completely different from the airports today. Airports used to be very passive. You had to queue, you had to turn up, you had to queue from one line to the other. And the airports of tomorrow will need to be a much more active space. They need to empower the passengers, and they will need to put the passengers at the heart of a secure, seamless, end-to-end experience. Your face is actually a very good way of putting that passenger at the middle of that experience. What if you could board the aircraft with your face? Around the use of biometrics, and because our industry is that collaboration, during most of our existing processes, we have to interact with a lot of stakeholders. We have layers of legacy, technology, processes, and regulation, which has meant that sometimes things can really get difficult. By working together, for example, on one ID, and addressing existing inefficiencies, the industry can really deliver much more benefits. And that's not just for passengers, that's for governments, that's for airlines, that's for airports. This is a bit of an example because I really believe that making the move to biometrics requires a very practical approach. On here you see a few videos. The first one here is about taking a picture of your face and matching that face to the reading of a passport on a kiosk and associating this to a boarding pass. You can actually do this on an existing kiosk. The only thing you have to do is to add a camera on top of that kiosk. Second example here is about using this as backdrop. So in less than 1 minute, you go through the whole backdrop process, by which you can literally not only complete the check-in, but also add a luggage, and use your face for this, if you've already checked in, as much as keying a selfie of your face for the next touch points. The third example is a project we've been doing in Boston for JetBlue. It's about using a self-standing face pod at the boarding area, where you actually ask passengers to step on the feet there. The only thing you require is taking a photo of your face. And you see how smooth the process can be. And then finally, this is in Orlando with British Airways. And what you see here is clearly people amused, and some of them still using their passports, strangely. However, the process also going smoothly. The benefits of biometrics can really be game-changing. So you've seen those experiences at airlines, at airports with airlines, and clearly, while some of them were expecting that it was more about having less people, more efficiencies at the gate, it's about boarding passengers faster. Imagine you can board a 777 in about 10 minutes. These are the level of performance that can be achieved. It's quite important specifically when you are catching up on flight delays. About airports, it creates efficiencies for sure, and it creates new space for capacity. For governments, it gives the ability to focus on new threats. But it's more importantly probably about the passenger. Improve your NPS. Passengers do benefit from a simpler, faster, and more secure journey. And that raises the satisfaction. And if you think about transformation, like any kind of digital transformation, if the end consumer wants it, if the end customer is ready for this, then that is a key element of success. However, it should not be hiding the fact that there is complexity behind all this. So looking at the end-to-end process, what is it that you can simplify and automate? There's always going to be a starting point. Airports, airlines, they all come in different flavors. Just throwing an app doesn't help you become digital. Just adding a piece of hardware, like a gate, does not build the passenger experience. In fact, as you go through the journey, as you see the different touch points, the more touch points you add, the more you need to integrate in the back end. And thus, the more you can really transform the process. And that's how you reach the real best full passenger experience. I've picked up an example of some of the IT insights and IT trends we monitor closely. And voluntarily, I wanted to give you the airport view of this. What we asked as a question was, when do you think you're going to be ready with the implementation, not just of a boarding gate, but a self-boarding gate that is equipped with a camera and a facial recognition solution? And what we see is that to support paperless travel, to use the biometrics and to move away from being manual paper boarding and document checks, there's about 46% and even more of the airports who are really planning production, implementation of biometric hardware. And that's by 2021. So if, as an industry, we focus on a seamless journey, these gates could really be a commonplace by 2021, and all of this is based on research and surveys. Can we really do this? It does require a phased approach. And that's how you build confidence, that's how you build commitment, and you have to go step by step. Someone this morning was talking about starting fast and iterations. I think that's really spot on for this kind of topic. It's all about understanding what is it you really want to do, how far do you want to go, and at what speed. You can really probably save money, you can really increase passenger satisfaction, but to achieve the maximum potential of this, you have to find and figure out what is the continuum, the continuity. So how do we facilitate industry collaboration around the topic? One of the key questions of the survey was about what are the key challenges in managing passenger identity checks today? And you see the four bottom answers to this. Clearly, the lack of process and technology standards. That's 42%. Data privacy is a strong concern. Government requirements, not only regulations, but making sure governments are part of the table, understand the benefits for them as well, and difficulty to integrate tools and technology. What are we missing to scale? Definitely, I do believe we are missing a trusted framework to collaborate on this. It's about exchanging data, it's about making things easy, it's about making sure that if you enroll once with your identity on one airline, that identity can likely be reused across multiple airlines. The challenge of enabling growth and meeting the rising demand for biometrics requires new collaborations and new technology and new processes. And we can probably, by working together with airlines at airports, bring that confidence and progress. They require stakeholder collaboration. you have to access, for example, in a lot of our projects, all the resources of an organization, work with the people, with the partners, with the technology vendors, which usually have made local contacts, with the tools, with the technology, with the process, and with the funds to create successful biometrics projects. It requires a bit of a secret sauce, in fact, and it's not very simple to actually think you can replicate one success at one airport for one airline into all of the organizations. On my side, I really believe that there's a way that the industry can come up with a platform approach to all of that, and that platform built on collaboration. So leveraging technologies, so we've heard multiple occasions in those 2 days about artificial intelligence, but also blockchain, the way you put together biometrics. There's a way to actually slice the complexity and to break it down into smaller particles. Those particles are assembled into an ecosystem of players, an ecosystem of technology vendors, an ecosystem with a service model, where that complexity can be avoided. And this is ultimately, through that approach, being focused on the passenger experience, of course, but also the operational benefits for the industry. With that platform approach, luckily, we can create a business process value for our industry. Finally, a few takeaways. I really believe that we are really at a pivotal time for technology in air travel, and biometrics is one of them. We talked about some technology ingredients. It's about the existing hardware. It's about facial recognition software. Those technology ingredients are available today. But with technology alone, you can't do much. It's also a practical world. You can either be really a spectator of this trend, or you can actually be an actor of this trend. And by going into trials, by doing into learnings, by building feedback, by building iterations, this is where you get really the maximum benefits and exposure. And here you can really put this into the roadmap. To navigate around the complexity, biometrics might be a far-ranging target. You don't know where consumer identity will go. To navigate through that complexity, it's important to combine a range of experience coming from process experts, as well as technology vendors, solution integrators, and collaboration. We can definitely go faster if we can collaborate, and one idea is clearly one good example of that collaboration, and that is key. And usually, I believe that it is really a world of practice, so it's important to get started with some very practical steps, very pragmatic approach, starting small, trying to move fast by iterations, and stick to the vision. Thank you.